Get ready to install the driver's side axle with the intermediate shaft. Got 3 bolts here that go to the intermediate shaft that connect to our block. Just going to get a quick measurement for you. About 35 millimeter length. Now 2 of these have rounded additional like spacers, and these 2 are, they're all the same length, which is about 35 millimeters. They're all, let's see, I'm gonna guess 14 millimeter heads. I should have done this in previous videos, but I started putting in thread counts. They're 1.25 millimeter. Excuse me, thread count is 1.25, and that's helped me out, so I figured it might help you out. I'm going to start doing that more often, because if you needed a bolt, you still need to know thread count, right? So I'm going to try to do that on more videos where I've got bolts, lengths, head size, the shank, the shaft, whatever you want to call it. So that's 9. This is probably what, like an M10, right? At least that's how I would see it. So M10 or M12, whatever. Try to give you that kind of information. Like, look, this is what I broke this off, and I had to retap it, and I threw away the bolt nut. I don't remember. I don't know. Anything like that might help you out. So I've got that intermediate shaft and the axle sitting right here. I've housed it for the entire time I've been out here. I've had the 2 ends protected from grime, crud, dust, rodents, hopefully, because you know how that sucks. I used a little bit of parts cleaner on the connecting point here for the intermediate shaft to the block. When I lost the oil seal cooler, or the oil cooler seal I should say, you know, I had oil everywhere, and it finds its way in every little nook and cranny, and I feel better about it when I clean something up a little bit, so it does look a lot better than it did. It was pretty dirty. So my next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this one end on the transmission. We're going to get it mounted to the block and then set into the location desired for the hub. So I got the first driver's side axle in. The next one I got on the pass side. It's something that could help you out is using a bungee. I slide this under first, and there are those 3 bolts. I'm going to show you. Alright, sorry for the wobbly camera there. So there's that bottom one. That's a specialty bolt. It has that little like spacer on it. It's actually like pretty close to the same diameter as the remaining part to the block. Once you get this in line, once you get that all lined up across here into the transmission, I use one hand here. I don't have these separated. You could always separate them. That's your call. Good time to inspect all your boots. And then I've got one hand on this part of it and another hand on that part. I shimmy it in. Make sure that your support there is towards the block. It's like flush, because if you put it in and it's not going to spin around and line up. But the 2 specialty bolts, that one right there and the one just above it, have that large diameter type washer spacer to it. That's to help keep this intermediate shaft lined up correctly, the right amount of distance. Don't force these in. Those teeth on the splines, I don't want to mess any of that up, so hopefully that'll help you out. But once I get this side in and it's starting to line up, there is a little bit of leeway back and forth. So in order to get a little more precise and start my bolt, I have that bungee here, and it helps support that axle up. And then I start the bottom one, I go to the top, and then I get the one just over here. Now, I don't know if I can get this in here. This is kind of a weird spot, but anyway, yeah. there's those three. They're 29 foot-pounds. So I'll go ahead and get those torqued, and I'll get this in the hub, and we'll be good to go. So I got the spline into the hub. Yeah, the hub don't look great, but bearings are good. And this is the new spindle nut, the axle nut, whatever you call it. Part number 103 tech 0502. Got that on Rock Auto, or no, Amazon. I think we got that on Amazon. I don't tighten it all the way because, well, it's going to spin. But get it in there so it don't fall out. Something that helps me out a lot is taking the upper control arm. I take that off, that nut off of this knuckle. Makes it a lot easier for me to lower it, pull it back, and just slide over the CV. Just boop, and it pops right in. Super easy. I can always put that back. So I'll just put that on there. Like I said, it's just going to spin if I try to tighten it down, but at least it's started. And I've got a little bit of a protection on it, since if I brush upon it with like a tool or knock it, hit it, whatever, kind of protect it a little bit. Finished up with the suspension on this side. Got the lowering spring and the shock all assembled previously, and I've installed it. So down here on the lower part of the 17 millimeter head right there has a self-locking nut. If I can get that right there. So that's 47 foot-pounds. Oh, sorry, getting old, legs getting tired. So the upper 14 millimeter bolt that collapses on the fork there. That one I believe is, I'm going to say it's 32 foot-pounds. I believe that is correct. 32 foot-pounds for the upper 14 millimeter bolt that collapses on the fork, and then 17 millimeter head, both bolt and nut, and that one is 47 foot-pounds. Up top on the upper control arm, I don't have that tightened up yet. I'm going to get ready to tighten that. That is between 29 and 35 foot-pounds. That way you can realign. Usually you just set it to 29 and then you can align the castle nut. The three bolts above are 28 foot-pounds. So those three up above, when you replace your strut, you're going to take those off, or if you're just moving it, whatever, those are 28 foot-pounds. Trying to think of other critical. I think the lower ball joint is 36 foot-pounds to 43. I didn't move it or replace it. I don't like messing with those unless they're needed. I'd rather deal with the upper control arm. On the upper control arm, the two connecting points to the chassis right there and right there, those are 31 foot-pounds if you have to torque those up. And so we only got the top three bolts, or nuts I should say. Your radius rod is actually pretty tight. So the front of the vehicle is 40 foot-pounds. I don't have an OEM radius rod, so it doesn't really matter. But I still kind of follow those as a guideline. And then the connection point to the lower control arm down there, that radius rod I believe is 70 foot-pounds. That's a puppy of a dog there. And if you have ATTS, which this is a base model, if you have ATTS, man, you got to do some research, because those are totally different. I believe it connects to a separate ball joint or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but look into it. You never know. So can't really think of anything else. When I replaced the tower here, so these are going to be 28, and then I believe this one's just 22. You got that lock here. This is just 22. Yeah, they're an aftermarket shock with Skunk 2-inch drop. I actually got a really good deal on them. I wanted to do some coilovers, but I just didn't want to throw it in the budget this year. I think I'll mess around with the suspension next year. But believe it or not, I got them for about 50 bucks, and they're supposedly not used. Don't really see any signs of wear other than like shipping, scraping off of that powder coat. It's not through to the metal, so it looks pretty new to me. Hopefully be a nice 2-inch drop. So I'm not going to finish this side up yet because I still need to get that 19mm bolt tightened up. Somebody's got a tool that I'm letting them borrow, and I want to make sure I get it done right. So I'm not going to bother with it. I'm going to go ahead and get the exhaust attached, finish up underneath. I think that's about it for the underneath of the body. The chassis, the motor, everything. Just tighten that up, reattach the 3 bolts, the new gasket, and we'll be good on this. I'll go ahead and go to the other side, and it's pretty much a duplicate. I'll have to put the radius rod on for the traction bar. I removed that from the traction bar so that I could get the transmission in and out. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that over on this side, and that's probably all I'm going to get done. I might be able to get I'm thinking I might be able to get the brakes. I got new brake rotors and pads. Supposedly they're ceramic and all that good stuff. I don't really hot rod the car too much when I did drive it, just on occasion. But you know that's all BS, right? So go ahead and finish this up. Unfortunately, like I said, shops ain't open at 3 o'clock in the morning. Can't go and get what I want and what I need. Next thing you know, we'll be putting the car back on the ground. New belts. Already got one on the supercharger. Get the catch can in. Fluids. Got a few other items I need to accomplish, and then hopefully get it back on the road. It's a short summer, it seems like, so I don't know if we'll be driving it soon, but if I do, I'll probably take it to the drag strip once or twice. I just want to see what we're capable of doing, what times we get as a reference. No NOS, it'll be all supercharger, just to kind of get a baseline on that. Maybe we share that information, everybody will know what's going on and how we're doing. Alright, so for now, like and subscribe if you like, and if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have a comment, say you like what you're doing, let me know. If you see something I can improve on, too much information, not enough, just let me know. If you have a question in regards to something I've done, maybe I didn't give enough detail, I'll give it to you in a reply. So thanks for the subscriptions and thanks for the likes. I appreciate the views. You guys have a fantastic one, and thanks YouTube.